Welcome in everyone to another live edition of 410 Sports Talk. I'm Glenn Martin, riding solo for this one. At least I think. I'm pretty sure Jimmy is on the road and traveling this week, but he'll certainly be back for. I think he'll be back for later the show later this week. But I am excited to be here, and boy, do we have some news to talk about. Disappointing loss, obviously, this past Sunday, losing to Jameis Winston and the Brownies. Very disappointing loss in a very winnable game with just mistakes throughout, but pretty exciting news today in a time where, look, Ravens fans were getting a bit impatient. They were saying, why is it that all these other competitors and Super Bowl contenders are all making moves and active on the at the trade deadline, and yet the Ravens were sitting on their hands? Well, that is no longer the case, as the Ravens have added to this team, and it might not be the position that everybody was expecting, or maybe even hoping for, maybe not even the side of the ball that everybody was expecting and hoping for. But man, I think they got an absolute steal of a good player, and a player that I think has some experience in the AFC North and brings a lot to this team, even though it doesn't seem like the area that needs the attention or needs the help. And that is, of course, the Ravens trading for Diontae Johnson from the Carolina Panthers. Most fans will probably remember his time with the Steelers, where he had over 100 catch, over 1,000-yard season with Ben Roethlisberger under the helm, and then has since left them and signed a 1-year, I believe it was a 1-year deal with the Carolina Panthers. And look, it's a Carolina Panthers team that's clearly not going anywhere near the playoffs anytime soon. So they were in sell mode, and probably their biggest piece, I mean, outside the guys they said they're not willing to trade, is Diontae Johnson. And for the Ravens to get Diontae Johnson and only go back. So what they did was they traded a 5th-round pick for Diontae Johnson and a 6th-round pick in return. And essentially, when you look at the place in which the Ravens will likely fall, which is a late 5th-round pick, an early 6th-round pick, which is where the Panthers are going to be since they'll be picking in the top end of the draft. They essentially went back 10 to 15 slots in this upcoming draft and were able to get Diontae Johnson in return. So even though I know some fans were like, this isn't really what I was hoping for, I'm really hoping the defense gets addressed. To simply move back roughly 12 positions at the back end of a draft to get a guy like Diontae Johnson, I think was an absolute steal. And look, this move does nothing to stop the Ravens from making additional moves. They still have the exact same amount of draft picks that they had before the trade was made. They have 11. They had 11. They still got 11. And yeah, one of theirs went backwards a couple picks, but let's be honest, is the back end of a draft. What's the real difference between a late 5th and a very early 6th? There's probably not a ton if you look at the success rate at the end of the 5th versus the top of the 6th. I got to imagine it's pretty similar league wide. So to get to simply scoot back 12 picks and get a guy who, I mean, look, we got now 3 of the elite separators as wide receivers in the whole league. I'm gonna put up a chart here and kind of just to illustrate my point. That look, this was a fantastic pick. Maybe not. I mean, look, you look at it and say, "Man, we're like first in offense and we're near dead last on defense. How can that be a wise why are we addressing that side of the ball?" Well, you can still be better. And man, why is this not loading here? Give me one. I'm just trying to show the separation. Of course, it's not loading. But now with Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and Diontae Johnson, we have 3 guys that have a excellent release off the line of scrimmage. They are route running, separation, creating receivers that can get open against man coverage, specifically press man coverage. And in Diontae Johnson's case, they get a guy who has no problem operating over the middle of the field, will do the dirty work and catching those tough slants when teams are going to decide to blitz all cover zero, man across the board. This guy can get open. And if you want to press him, good luck, because he will beat that press. He will get open over the middle and he'll catch the tough slant. And what he'll also do is he has that second gear where he can get down the field and stretch the defense. This guy's got good hands. Now, look, people are going to say, yeah, he's got some drops. And he was, I believe, credited with 2 drops this season so far. And we don't want to see another, issue with guys getting wide open and dropping the ball. Now, we saw it last week with Rashad Bateman. In fairness to him, you could see the sun glaring off of his face mask. You could see it. However, we don't want to see another guy wide open dropping the ball. But the guy gets absolutely wide open, and he has 2 drops this year. Let's not kind of blow it out of proportion and make it seem like this guy's dropping everything thrown his way. There it is. Thank you. It worked. It finally worked. Let me see if I can pull it up any tighter here. And of course it can't. Okay, so it's not going to work, but I was trying to show a chart that just shows exactly how well our top 3 receivers are now separating. And it's pretty insane to see that we have 3 guys on the team that are all in the very top as far as separation created on their routes. But the problem, I don't know. The problem is it's not the problem, but I think the part that is making everybody kind of question is that Lamar Jackson already led the league in routes thrown beyond with the most separation. Every throw he has is on average. There it is, right? Thank you, DK. Appreciate you. As my computer fails me. Lamar Jackson was already throwing into the most wide open receivers. So this is the head scratching part. It's like we already create more separation than anyone in the league for Lamar Jackson, but yet we went and got another guy who can create separation. So I guess that's the kind of the head scratching point. Again, have no problems with it and am happy with the addition. I think dropping back 12 spots and adding that player is a no-brainer, especially when it carries a $670,000 remaining cap hit. That's nothing in NFL terms. But that's the part that's a little bit confusing. They're already doing it pretty damn good. But I think what this is also an insurance policy. What if Zay Flowers were to get hurt? We saw a glimpse of that with the little injury, and it totally changed, I think, this team in the sense that now you only have Bateman to rely upon on the outside to beat one-on-one coverage. That's, I don't think, a place where the Ravens want to be. And even in a scenario where you lose Bateman and you still have Zay, I don't think the Ravens feel comfortable in that scenario either. So now you have 3 receivers that can get it done against tight man coverage. The question is, whose snaps does he eat into? Is it only guys like Tylan Wallace and Nelson Aguilar, or is what some are predicting that Bateman's going to lose some snaps in 2 wide receiver sets as well? I'm not so sure Zay gets affected unless it's strictly to give him additional time to, maybe he's tired after running a couple routes in a row, and maybe just to give him, it's not as big of a drop off, so they'll give him a couple seconds to catch his breath. But I think primarily, outside the obvious that the guy's lower on the chart, but I think Bateman's going to lose some snaps. And I think in 2 wide receiver sets, we will see a combination of Zay and Diontae Johnson. So having said all of that, is a good player. Look, he's good to run after catch. Again, he's a route runner. He can get open. He can break the press, and he's an AFC North. So that's a good addition. However, the defense is the problem. The defense is a huge problem. And when we came on here, we were very emotional. I was frustrated. I was throwing things. I was throwing a bunch of things off my desk into the wall. I was pissed. And I did see a lot of fans felt the same way, but I did see some fans trying to, defend Zach Orr. And so it made me think again, like, look, because there is some what ifs in this game, right? Like, what if those interceptions that were dropped were caught? How does that game change? And then do we say, well, do we give Zach Orr a bit of a pass in the sense that if those are caught, everything about the game changes, and he did put them in that position to make the play. The play just wasn't made, and that's on the players. That's not on the coach. So you kind of get to thinking, well, man, are we being too unfair? I was calling in the postgame show to have Dean Pease as the play caller and kind of take away or demote a little bit of Zach Orr, which I'm a Zach Orr guy. I love Zach Orr. I've loved him as a player, and certainly, thought it was awesome when we gave him immediately shot at the coaching ranks, and to see him climb the way, it's awesome. But there's a problem here in Baltimore. This is a championship level team, except for the defense. Defense is not good enough to get it done. And so I was open for all changes and whatever could make this team better. And so I said, well, what if, what ifs? If they caught it, even if Kyle Hamilton caught the last one, the game is over. So how would we be acting? Would we be as pissed off, and would be calling for people's jobs had any of those catches been made? But the problem is, after the game is over, you get the opportunity to review film. And look, I'm just like most of these fans, all you guys on here. I'll go and I'll look at film breakdowns. I'll look at opinions, both in the national setting and then the more granular, the Ravens YouTubers, and even get value out of watching the YouTubers and other film study guys that cover the opposing team. And no other better example than watching an individual trying to break down Jameis Winston's play tape from last week. And man, he could only focus on the Ravens defense. And he talked about the issues that the Ravens are facing. And man, it was tough to hear, man. It was really tough to hear about unsound, undisciplined football from a Ravens defense. It's just not what we're used to hearing here in Baltimore. And so when I hear the predictability factor, it's tough to watch it while the games are being played and be able to kind of, see all the intricate details. You can't see much from the broadcast view. Let's be honest. You just can't. But when you see it on the all 22, it's pretty glaring. And you just see mistake after mistake. You see efforts to try to hide what you're doing, and ends up getting you completely out of position in an impossible scenario. So it's like when we point to the players, we go, why aren't they making this play? It's like when you pull the curtain back and see they're being set up to fail, it's really tough to watch. And so when you have guys that are trying to show one thing, and then as soon as the snap occurs, then they're trying to sprint to their actual assignment. So it's impossible if the offensive staff recognizes it. If the quarterback recognizes it, it's pitch and catch. And it was too often in critical situations and critical downs and distances where guys were put in situations where they simply could not, under any circumstance, cover the amount of ground it was necessary to make any impact on the play. Where, I saw a play where the linebacker on the opposite side is trying to guard the running back who's sprinting to the flats. There's absolutely no chance. I don't care how fast you are. You can run from the opposite side as a linebacker and cover the flat in a quick enough time when the quarterback recognizes it like that. I mean, it was too many bad assignment issues, communication issues, guys moving at the snap, still can't get lined up. I mean, it was one thing after another where guys didn't seem like they knew what they're doing. And then again, like I say, I check everywhere. I look at everything. I check national, local, opposing, all of it to see all perspectives. And Dan Orlovsky, typically you don't get a lot of good stuff from the national media, but he pointed out they dialed up 6 consecutive all-out blitzes in a row at the end of the game. I mean, you can't be that predictable. You cannot be that obvious. And look, I get it. At that point, a field goal, you didn't want him to give up a field goal. So I get the sense of urgency to try and, get a sack or push them out of field goal range. But what you did was you gave up an easy touchdown. Like, you can't be so predictable. And at the same time, you can't be so concerned with trying to hide and show a base coverage and then hurry up as soon as the snap is made. Everyone's sprinting to a different part of the field to try and, no, because it forces guys completely out of position. This guy, I mean, it's an absolute mess on the defensive side of the ball. They're far too talented. The problem Zach Orr has is that we've seen these guys. This is not a terribly different personnel group. There's some key pieces missing. There's no doubt. But a lot of these guys, almost pretty much all these guys, we've seen play really good football. Like really good football. So to see them how they're playing right now under Zach Orr, it doesn't look good to us because we've seen those same guys play really good. So we know what they're capable of. And they're not playing how they're capable right now. It's if Jameis Winston is going to pick you apart, what the hell do you think they're going to do at the highest level in the playoffs? You're only playing good teams in the playoffs. And Jameis Winston just absolutely picked us apart. Massey says, Glenn, please listen to Tomlin's post-game presser. He 100% dissed Ravens about Steelers not going for style points but wins. Can we admit he's a better coach than Harbs? Tomlin wins Super Bowl with Lamar. Well, look, Tomlin gets just as criticized in Pittsburgh as Harbaugh does here in Baltimore. Believe it. You better believe it. There is so many similarities between Tomlin and Harbaugh. It's unbelievable when you talk about not just their record and all that stuff, but also the criticism they get from their fan base. It's the same because he doesn't call plays either, just like Harbaugh doesn't. Mainly he's a leader of men, and a lot of things are very similar between those two. But as far as the criticisms, it's a couple times that he's come out and basically openly criticized the Ravens for being predictable, for going for, as he said here, style points and not wins. Man, that shit drives me crazy on offense, man. Like, when you're this good, there's no reason to do the stupid outsmarting yourself stuff like wildcat and tight end QB sneaks. Is the stupidest thing. Drives me crazy. But yeah, no, it's embarrassing. When your opponents call you out and they're right, it's embarrassing. There's just no doubt about it. Now, you want to bust their ass, but I can't imagine after 7 straight losses and the loss to a tough Browns team, another division opponent, that I can't imagine that, John Harbaugh's going, well, wait till we get to you. We're going to kick your ass. Like, you got to respect what they're doing over in Pittsburgh too. It's pretty, we're going to have some tough games against, let's be honest. It's going to be a battle. Ryan Kelly says it's tough because I feel like a lot of times for all teams, play bad, like drops interception, or a symptom of deeper issues. If we're vibing and communicating like last year, Kyle Hamilton makes that catch. Well, look, there's no doubt there's some issues with the vibes, right? I think the Marcus Williams issue is pretty, I don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but Harbaugh didn't really want to talk much about it. He gets benched, but he's not inactive. Head scratcher there. Like, if you're going to bench the guy, make him inactive. Like, what's the point of taking up an active roster spot to only put the guy on the bench? And I get he's playing poorly, but the guy you put in is worse. And so it's like, I just don't get it, man. It's like, there's obviously some issues going on in that locker room, and it's scary when you're coming off a 5-game win streak and those issues are like, they're happening during the 5-game win streak. Like, he was benched while that win streak was still intact. And that's normally not normally winning cures all. And so the fact that there's issues while there's winning is, that's a little scary, man. And yeah, there could be deeper issues, Ryan. I think you're right about that. Ryan Kelly also says, also Eddie Jackson. It's 10 times worse when you see the film. Yeah. On that touchdown, he's just standing flat-footed, like just letting the guy reach him at full sprint, and the dude is standing flat-footed. Like, what do you expect, bro? Like, it was the easiest touchdown. Like, come on. It was it's just crazy when you see that. Like, you expect to see that happen from maybe a young guy, but Eddie Jackson? What are you, a decade-long pro? Like, what are we doing? You knew it. Like, it's crazy, man. I really hope. Now, what I don't want to do is come on here and do what I did in the beginning of the year. Because before the year started, I said, look, we're going to have growing pains. We got to be patient with this offensive line. They're going to be worse in the beginning. The worst we're going to see them is probably in the beginning. And obviously, they're going to get better and better. And hopefully, the best we see of them is in the playoffs. So I don't want to overreact and go this deep, because look at the offensive line. Didn't have a great game last week, but has had moments where you see, okay, there's real growth here. They're getting better. Things are moving in the right direction. The defense doesn't seem like that way right now, but I don't want to overreact. I don't want to do the same thing I did with the offensive line when I go, there's no hope, because there's good talent. And I think that, I hate to say simplify. I think we need to simplify things on defense a little bit, as far as not trying to always, show one thing, and not that you want to be predictable and show your hand, but maybe not try and be so dramatic where guys are having to sprint from one side of the field to the other, and just in an effort to try and disguise what you're doing. I don't think you should disguise when it's to the detriment of the team, and the communication issues, like, they got to get cleaned up, and guys can't be moving before the snap on the defensive line where one guy's running from one end to the other and you just give it. I mean, guys are running wide open. Something's got to change. And I think the change has to be, in part, a shaking up of the roster, in the sense that you got to add to this group. You have got to add to this group. Like, I know they're talented. They're good. They got good players. But I don't know if they're good enough. And I know I said that they have mostly the same guys. They've only lost a few. But maybe those few were just the guys that they needed. And maybe they need to go. I think they need to make 2 additions to this defense, one in the front 7 and one in the back end, preferably to the edge, but really any pass rusher will do, whether it's interior or on the outside. They got to address safety. Absolutely have to. There's too many safeties out there on bad teams or expiring contracts that could be gotten. And let's be honest, safety isn't the most coveted position. It probably wouldn't take a lot. If you consider what we did to get Diontae Johnson, moving back 12 spots at the back of the draft, I can't imagine a safety would be, a break the bank type thing. I mean, look, everybody's talking about, thank you, Maryland. Crosby ain't happening, guys. He's not happening. The owner himself said he's not going anywhere. Crosby doesn't want to leave. Honey Badger would be great, Rainmaker. Great. I would love to get the Honey Badger. I think he would be an excellent addition. I don't necessarily know how. Nah, forget it. Yeah, I want the Honey Badger. He plays like a Raven. Yeah, and Azeez Ojulari, I mean, if you guys watched the game last night, you saw why I definitely want him here in Baltimore. He's my number 1 edge target. Again, beautiful sack last night, beats the right tackle, gets to Russell Wilson, plants him on the ground. David Ajabu's not playing because he's not doing anything when he gets in the game. He's just been very disappointing. Yeah, they got Big 98 at home. They've had him. Yeah. Ojulari would be my pick. Lattimore would be great, but man, that's going to be expensive. Whew, that would be pricey. But that would be cool. Khalil Mack, yeah, that'd be cool. I'd take Khalil Mack. I don't know what I don't think the contract would make it work, but that's why a guy like Azeez is perfect, because he's on a relatively low contract comparatively to a guy like Khalil Mack. I think the Giants might, because they signed Thibodeau and they signed Brian Burns from the Panthers to a long-term deal. So they already got 2 pass rushers. They going to invest in a 3rd pass rusher when they have a mess of a roster and need help everywhere. Budda Baker would be great, man. Diggs, sure. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Diggs this year. I don't know what exactly, how he's playing, but if it's the old Quandre Diggs, I'd take him. No doubt about it. But yeah, the bad scheming's got to get better. I mean, but there's so many guys, like Dean Pease being on this defensive staff brings so much experience. John Harbaugh's been here how long? He's a former DB and DB coach in this league. I mean, Zach Orr, I know he's a young man as far as a coach, but he's been literally with this organization since playing at a very young age and has pretty much never left. I mean, the guy knows defense. They got to get this thing better, because right now, man, this is not a championship level defense. And I'm scared about this game coming up this Sunday. Like, the Denver Broncos are playing well. Bo Nix just had a 3-touchdown passing touchdown and 1 rushing touchdown game. And they probably have the best defense in football. Like, this is a really, really good Denver Broncos team coming in here that nobody expected to play well. And they're going to check, like, Surtain's going to be he's going to be probably following Flowers around. And all the more reason I hope Deontay's out there to kind of help get that easy matchup against the third corner. But yeah, man, there's Josh Allen, from the Jaguars. I didn't they just sign him though? I think that's still too. I think they just signed him. That might be too expensive. But yeah, I mean, the defensive side of the ball has just got to be their focus from here on out. Now, like, if Diontae Johnson is the only move, I'm going to be pretty pissed off. But if Diontae Johnson is just the first of a few moves, then man, this will make it look like another, classic Eric DeCosta trade deadline stealing. If this is just the cherry on top, this is kind of the beginning of it all. then man, because here's the defensive, the offensive DVOA, like their analytics are showing that this is not just the best offense this year. Like this is a historically good offense. You cannot waste that again. Like you cannot waste another historically good offense led by an MVP quarterback in the middle of his prime. You can't waste it trying to be patient this year. Just can't do it. Can't do it. Even from a perception standpoint, when you look at what the Chiefs have already made two impactful trades, like Uche, say what you want, hasn't had a lot of opportunities this year. I think he makes an impact on their defense. No doubt the impact that Hopkins is going to make on their offense. And that's just one thing. The Bills trading for Amari Cooper, talking about a premier pass catcher in this league. So just from a perception standpoint, teams are going to be looking around going, fans are going to be looking around going, why is it that all the other contending teams in the AFC are trying to make play? Even the Jets, who are just a dumpster fire, a mess. I saw a stat about their loss last week. Oh, I don't even want to mess it up, but it was one of the most incredible stats. It was what they accomplished offensively. Teams were 750-0 under those circumstances until this past weekend when they lost to the Patriots. Now they're 750-1. I believe it was something like no turnovers, allow fewer than 150 yards, and move the ball for 350 yards offensively. It was something insane. And they lost. They still lost. So even a team like the Jets is doing everything they can. They go out and get Devontae Adams. They're trying anything. They're throwing whatever at the wall. Not to say you want to certainly listen to the or follow the lead of the Jets, but my point is that even the Jets are being aggressive. Like a team that nobody expects to really compete at this point. So the Ravens just have to, they just absolutely have. They cannot let another prime Lamar Jackson year, a year in which we have a historically great offense, number 5 all time in DVOA as it stands right now. You just can't you can't waste that. So Quan says dream scenario is Brandon Stevens for Lattimore plus an edge. I don't want to get rid of Brandon Stevens, though. I want to add to the group. Not, Lattimore for Brandon would obviously be an upgrade, but I don't think Brandon Stevens is a bad player. He struggles finding the ball. But as far as preventing separation, Brandon Stevens is one of the best in the league. So I don't really necessarily want to get rid of him. I just want to add to the group, not get rid of. So I want to trade draft picks. Trade them. We got 11 picks next year. 11 dudes ain't making this team next year. There's just no way. And if they do, we're having to cut better players just to shoehorn in a draft pick. So trade them and acquire talent that can get us over the hump this year. This is the year. Like, if you look at any year in recent history, I know the Chiefs are 7-0, but does anyone look at them as going like, oh, man, they look unbeatable? Like, they look the most gettable right now. Can't let it go. This team ain't good enough to do it, man. This team is not good enough to do it. I don't believe it. Not with this offense. This offense is just too good to be wasted. Yeah, I know, Antoine. He's just got to get his head around. It's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. Yeah, cornerback isn't the issue, but Lattimore would be an upgrade. But it matters a little bit how sticky he is. Not everybody can just put their hands out and shit on Brandon Stevens like Pickens and T. Higgins did. Not all of them can. Not every receiver can do that. So I think it does matter a little bit. Look, I don't know. I don't know, man. I just hope they get. I hope they get aggressive. I pointed out the guys I want. I pointed out Azeez Ojulari, Jadeveon Clowney. Uche was on this list, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, before the Chiefs went and got him. Zadarius Smith, who I don't even know what the Bears' plans are. They might be thinking, hey, we're going for it with this guy at quarterback. They might not be in sell mode. I think I mentioned Jadeveon. And then Chase Young was on this list as well as a guy, I consider to kick the tires on. Then Budda Baker, Xavier Woods, and Andre Sisco are all targets in the secondary that I would like to see. And I'm sure there's more. Those are just guys that I came up with that I think will be upgrades. But yeah, Kevin Riddle says Humphrey moved to safety. He's been playing. He's the number 1 corner in the league until he went out with injury. So I don't know. I think I'd keep him at corner when he's playing the way he is right now. And now maybe in the future, he certainly has the skill set to translate to safety with his physicality and all that stuff. But yeah, you don't exactly. Yeah, I like that. Yes, flagship. We are contending. You don't trade players. You trade draft picks. Yes, I agree. I agree. Yeah, Gilmore is not going to be like if the Vikings are in position to contend, they're not going to give up their number one corner. I don't think that's happening. Yeah, Brandon Stevens could be a good safety too. I mean, another good tackler, hard-nosed football player. Will put his nose in there and bring down the ball carrier. The biggest thing to me is just whoever it is, it's going to be an upgrade. I mean, literally any safety in the league will be an upgrade from Eddie Jackson. He's 79th out of 79. So, I mean, it can't get worse than it has been with Eddie Jackson. And 11 picks. Yeah, I mean, Adam says it, 11 picks. That's so many. It's insane. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's absolutely incredible. But I'm going to be nervous. If they get outbid, man, because there's the problem. The Lions are going after defense, right? The Lions lost Hutchinson, so we know they're addressing their pass rush one way or another. And they got to be looking like we are ready to – we're one guy away. We can't let that guy be the reason we don't win it. So I think there's going to be competition at edge. And just don't let yourself be priced out, Baltimore. Do it. Go for it. If you think he's the guy – if he's the guy that can get you over the hump, go do it. No. Gene. No. We are happy with our guys. That's what Harbaugh said. He already said that. I don't want to hear it, though. What would Ojulari cost? That's a good question. What would Ojulari cost? It's a guy they're not going to pay. Everyone knows it. I would say a 4. A 4. You know, I think a 4 would get him. I don't know what you guys' thoughts on a 4 for Ojulari. Saleh for DC would be nice. Yeah, Saleh's already, like Carissa said, already working with Green Bay, apparently best friends with the head coach of the Green Bay Packers. And so he is there on a consultant basis. I know a lot of people were calling for Mike Vrabel. He's helping the Browns on a consultant basis. So there's not a look, we got enough. I got to think we got the brain power in the building. You just got to get it together. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know what if they're overthinking, if they're trying to be too complex, trying to be too, trying to hide. I don't know what it is, but they need to just get back to line up and playing ball. We got too good of players to be the worst defense in football. Yes, Cisco. Yes, I want Andre Cisco here for sure. Yeah, Bill Belichick would be nice. Would be nice, Quan. But if I'm Bill Belichick, I'm enjoying my TV role. I mean, I don't have to worry about getting up early and spending 18 hours at a facility. I don't have to be wrong ever. I can just go out there and criticize all the other coaches for being wrong and doing stupid things. I think, yeah, that would be awesome. But I don't think it's happening. Yeah, the Badger and Ojulari. Whoo! Oh my goodness, I'd be so hyped. I would be so hyped. Yeah, that would be dope. If we can add both, man. I don't want to see and I don't want to see like a middle of the road, like just a depth guy. It's got to be an impact player, man. It's got to be an impact player. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. Yeah, I saw the 6 straight all up. I talked about it earlier. And look, I know the situation they were what he was trying to do, but you cannot be that predictable. Like, you couldn't have thrown one bluff in there. Like, 1 or 2 bluff blitzes where you're showing blitz and guys drop. Like, you just all of them against Jameis, a gunslinger? Oof. With 2 corners out, by the way. Again, this is all happening with 2 corners out. I don't think I've stressed that enough. Your top 2 corners are out. Or 2 of your top 3 at the very least, at the worst. But yeah, it's bad, man. It's looking bad. And it's weird to have a defensive problem in Baltimore, just not used to having it. We had it in spurts. We've had it for maybe quarters of a season. But I don't know if we've had a defense this bad where it's just doesn't seem like we have a light at the end of the tunnel. That's kind of the scary part right now. But you know what I forgot? Did I forget to mention our faithful sponsor? Oh, no. I can't believe I forgot to talk about BetOnline being the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything sports betting. I mean, it's got every stat. It's got every matchup. It's got live odds to gamble on while the games are being played. It's got the biggest catalog of NFL. I mean, you better get quick on that World Series because let me tell you, Yankees are about to be sitting at home with the Orioles here. But if you got any time left, they got the World Series spreads as well. They got NHL, NBA. They got even political props. We got a week left. Better get your political prop bets in. When the games are over, of course, head on over to the online casino, play some blackjack, some poker, or unwind with over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline, the game starts here. I'm kind of curious I'm going to pull up BetOnline, what the early line is for this weekend's game because it's a home game. But man, one team looked really good last week, and the other team, I mean, the Ravens didn't look really bad. And they could have very easily won that game. But man, it's a hot team right now. You don't typically want to catch teams when they're hot, and we're catching the Denver Broncos at a hot time. And hey, look, the Browns caught us on a 5-game win streak. They were on a 5-game losing streak, and we see how that turned out. So it's certainly not, the tell-all when it comes to who wins and loses. But let me see here. Ravens a 3-point favorite, which is disappointing because that's basically calling it an even split. With the Ravens being the home team, they're going to get 3 points. So that's telling them that they think this is an even game. That's not what I was expecting, especially when you consider the spread going into Cleveland last week was 11.5 as it kicked off. Man, they really think it's going to be a tight game. This is going to be a fun one. Why don't you throw that up here? What do you got here, DK? I see you got something down here. So it's small on my screen here. Let me try and boost this up a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right. So, hold on. I had a much different spread. What am I looking at? Oh, game period, 9.5. Is this right? This is not what I just saw on my screen. Am I tripping here, DK? Let me show you what I'm showing. Let me show you what I'm seeing here, DK. Tell me I'm crazy. I'm going to throw mine up here. Because I don't know what I'm seeing wrong or different, but it's saying 3 on my screen. Here we go. Right here. Oh, I'm looking at this and not over here. DK. I'm stupid. What is that +3 on the side, though? What is this? This is what confused me. All right. I don't know what that 3 is on the left, but I blame. I'm not going to take the blame here. It tricked me. All right, now that's exactly that's more of what I expected. 9.5. Okay, because damn, I was going to say. I mean, I know they're on a hot streak, but Christ, we're talking about the Baltimore Ravens here. I would have been shocked to see that. Okay, now this is more like a 9.5 point spread. Okay, so Vegas still thinks the Ravens are going to take care of business this week. But again, last week, the spread was, I think, 11.5 when it started. I don't know where it ended up after, all the Sharks came in at the end. I'm sure they moved the line at least a couple points. But, yeah, this is going to be an interesting game. And, of course, we will keep you guys up to date. Make sure, we get you guys prepared for that game. I don't know exactly what night we're going to be having that with Halloween falling on Thursday, which is our typical night. We record our preview shows. That might have to change. We might have to take it to a Friday night, but either way, we will make sure you get all the most updated information about who's playing, who's not, potential changes to the personnel, whether it comes to Marcus Williams or if there's any more future trades, who's the corresponding roster move to the trade that brings Diontae Johnson, whose snap count's going to be affected most by that acquisition, and all else things leading up to the Denver Broncos matchup. We will keep you up to date and informed. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so we can keep you up to date on all things Ravens. That's it for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining me. Have a good. Oh, hold on. What are you saying? What are you pointing out? Oh shit. Okay. I almost forgot, guys. The competition. All right. Man, I always forget. This is why I don't like doing this show by myself. All right. I keep forgetting stuff. Contest. Yes, Ron. Contest. All right. Let's get into this week's week 8 over-under competition results. And Derrick Henry, DK. You know what? This is your fault. You put that over-under too high. You put the over-under, and it's such an astronomical number that he said, I can't even get there. I'm not going to do it. 73 yards after DK put it at 169. Let me see. I think I still have my doc open. All right. I said under. Jimmy said under. DK outsmarted himself with this one. He said over. So I right. Jimmy's right. DK's wrong. Next one. Over under. Isaiah Likely receiving yards 19.5. I said under. DK said under. Jimmy was right. He had 47. So Jimmy's 2 for 2. I have 1 correct. DK 0 for 2. Defensively, the Browns passing yards, we all said over. It was miles over. And look, you're going to have to really ratchet up the passing yards for me to ever pick under with this defense. It's going to be over from now on until something drastic changes. We all got that right. Next one, Ravens sacks, 3.5 is where it was set. They get 2. Me and Jimmy were both correct. We said under. DK was wrong. Why did Jimmy have to get that one right? Because I would have won. But anyway, let's get to the tiebreakers. I'm tired of losing. First tiebreaker, total score over under 42.5. Over. We all said over. It was 53 was the total. So we all got that one right. And then the second one, total yards. I knew I was going to get this one right eventually. Just keep picking under, you guys, and let you guys go to the moon. And I finally get one right, but it doesn't matter anyway. Jimmy's this week's winner. Congratulations, Jimmy. This is bullshit. I got to get my winning ways back on. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, let's see who's this week's fan winner. Joe Eckert, 4 for 4. Did not miss a single over-under. This guy's unbelievable. He is a former winner. So we have all your information. No need to send that over. We will certainly get you your swag sent out. And guys, if you want to participate, we will have another competition next week where I will regain my my rightful spot at the top. I will win next week because I think I've won. Have I won at all this week or this year? I've won once. We're 8 games in. I got some catching up to do, but there's plenty of time left, just like there is for Odafe Oweh. But that's it for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back sometime this week. See you.